Hey, what's up, guys? Joker here. I'm going to talk about my experience playing through Final Fantasy ARR Reborn and Heavensward. I know I'm done with Stormblood 2. I'm almost done with Shadowbringers, but they'll be their own videos. Stormblood, I have a lot of things to say about it, so I wanted to, condense it down because otherwise this would be probably a 30-minute video, and I know that for a fact because I just recorded an 18-minute video. The problem is my mic was muted, so that was something. But yeah, let me try to remember what I said. As a person who really has not had any interest in MMOs, I've been a console player, so there's not many MMOs on console. There's Black Desert, Destiny is kind of an MMO. I don't consider it an MMO, but, I played that. There's also ESO. There's a ton of them, Genshin Impact. Final Fantasy, for me, what interested me in it was Final Fantasy, and I heard it was great. It was also on console, and the reason I gave it a go is because the PS5 trial was coming, so I was like, hey, might as well play 30 days free, have all the way up to level 60, and then start completing the expansion. That was cool, so I did that. I had 45 days because I think they gave me 15 days additional for hitting 30, which was weird, and I don't know if anyone else gets that, but that was the reason I got. I mean, it was kind of weird. It was also unexpected. I was like, I can't believe they're giving me another 15 days free. I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, that was sick, and I just really like this game from a story perspective, from the music, the combat, the characters, the world in general. Like, Ul'dah is such a cool world, and honestly, I'm glad I started there. It's my favorite of the city states, the starting three. Gladiator, I think, was the right job for me. It's just the perfect amount to introduce me into MMOs and stuff like that. I don't have really many comparisons to combat in MMOs. I did play WoW to 20 in retail and about 15 in classic. I think the combat in this game is way better. That's probably mostly having to do with I like a controller better than keyboard and mouse. Especially for this type of game, I like controller. The way they've optimized it for PlayStation is honestly a really amazing job. I mean, I really like it. I just think it's just fantastic experience, especially if you're on console and there's not many MMOs to play that are on this caliber. In my opinion, I mean, ESO's never interested me because let's be honest, I thought the game would just fucking crash all the time because I was playing on PlayStation. And Genshin Impact, I don't care for gacha games. Black Desert, I honestly almost played. The only thing that stopped me from playing Black Desert was I heard it was super grindy and they really forced you to pay for shit. That's the only thing that kept me from playing Black Desert. But besides that, what I'm talking about the Final Fantasy is I love Final Fantasy games. I love 10, 12, 7. Hell, I thought 15 was cool. I mean, and that's even controversial. I mean, I played 15 in its base version, so that should tell you a lot. I mean, I still like that game. I remember they made that chapter 12 way shorter and way easier. I still like that game. I thought the combat was really the thing that shined through more than this story. I mean, some of those characters were kind of... I mean, if you played through the game, it got way better, honestly, in my opinion. I played 13. I really didn't care for it. I understand what people were saying, where it's like, oh, just play the first 40 hours and it will finally open up, because it literally opens up after the first 40 hours. But anyway, this is about Final Fantasy 14. Realm Reborn, there's a lot. It's not a 10 out of 10. Let's just start there. It's a great experience for someone who wanted to play an RPG, and that's really when I started playing the game. I was like, oh, this is just an RPG. Like, this is just me playing an RPG. It was so fun, and there's just more wrinkles and layers toward the game that make it more than just an RPG. Now, my Realm Reborn experience might be a little different than people who started at the beginning, I'm gonna include Gold Saucer. I don't know if that was there or not. Gold Saucer is so fun. It's so cool. It's like another game inside a game. With all those experiences, they have card games. You know, like kind of like Gwent and stuff like that. Um, I loved Gwent and I love Triple Triad. I think it's such a fun game. I literally could play that for hours. Uh, the leaping puzzle is annoying as fuck, but it is so fun. It's like, what is it? It's like Alt F4 and stuff like that. Getting over it. It's like, it's not that difficult, but it's like that. It's like that experience, if you get what I'm saying. Like the Gold Saucer is just so fun. But like getting back to the story, it's like I liked the main story in A Realm Reborn. I really did. I thought it was really cool. It really built you up into a hero. Um, Now you can get into the debate where it's like, oh, you're preordained to be a hero because basically you are the warrior of light that was just flung forward 5 years from the original Final Fantasy 14. But you know, you start out as a regular adventurer, just doing quests and stuff like that, helping people out, and then you slowly go on and you get dragged into the bigger, plot. But that's how old games usually happen, where it's like you're just an adventurer dude. Like Skyrim's like the same thing, and you get to be the chosen one. It's like the same shit. What are you gonna do? It's a common motif, common thing that a lot of stories do. I really liked it. I thought the Scions were sick. I thought the Ossians were also a really cool group, and how they keep adding the Ossians is really interesting, especially in Stormblood and in Shadowbringers. But like that's a different video. Gaius was a really interesting character. In general, La Brea was a cool villain too. All the fights, I loved the trials. The dungeons were really good. It gives you the experience of growing as a character. And when you're at 50, I mean, especially going back and trying to play Paladin at those lower levels, it's like, damn, it's like kind of hard to go back because it's like you were on training wheels. That's how the game is. Like, it's getting you, it just continually builds on top of itself. Heavensward really unlocks the character from 50 to 60, and you see the same growth in Stormblood 60 to 70, and Shadowbringer 70 to 80. You really get better and better, and you get to do more, and there's just so much to the game too. I mean, I didn't even talk about the discipline of hand and land. I mean, crafters add a whole other meta to the game where it's like, that's how you make your money. Your crafters. It's a pain in the ass to level them, but 70 to 80 was the easiest point, I gotta say, for leveling them. But it adds this other metagame, and I love this metagame of buying and selling, trying to undercut competition. I mean, this whole business aspect thing, that was just, for me, when I found this out, I was like, this is the game. This is the other game. And it's just so good. I really like the duty roulette system. I think that is really good for leveling. Palace of the Dead, it's kind of funny. I didn't find that until like Stormblood. But that's an interesting experience too. It's another different experience in this game. I really like it, and the job quests were really cool. Well, at least Gladiator was good, and Samurai was good for me. Weaver, I thought had an interesting story too. Archer, I played that class. Honestly, that job quest is the reason I stopped playing Archer. It was so boring compared to Gladiator. Gladiator was such a good job quest. That's what I love about it. It's like, it gives you all these things to do, and it also has this main story where it just shoots you through. That's how you get the bigger stuff. And it just has all these other things where it just keeps you interested, keeps you engaged. I didn't talk about PvP, but PvP is like basically dead on this game. I mean, it's not pretty. Like, and honestly, let me say, I am terrible at the PvP in this game. It is a very confusing experience. It is very confusing. I think they really, if they wanted to, they need to rework it a ton because it's weird, and it just, I mean, I played Rival Wings. I thought that was a cool experience. I really hate Frontlines. I think it's a shitty capture the flag type thing. I think it's one of the worst PvP experiences probably I've ever played. That really doesn't matter. If you're into PvP, honestly stick to like Valorant or like or CS:GO or something, because like or Overwatch or something like more, or Rainbow or something like that. But this is not a game to PvP. This is a game for like, hey, story, RPG mechanics. Hey, there's role playing mechanics if you want to. You can join free companies, hang out with people in your free company place. It's just a chill game on at the end of the day. And I've seen complaints. I've read them also. It's like the game's too easy. I think it's fine. Like, there's hard experiences if you want. There's Savage Raids, there's Unreal Trials that you get in Shadowbringers, in I guess in A Realm Reborn and Heavensward. The Extreme Trials and the Savage Raids. They also add in like the minimum item level you can do. That there's challenges to it. If you want the game to be hard, you can play the game hard. It's just people don't choose to do that. They choose to do Extreme Trials unsynced. And unsynced and extreme trials, honestly, in the Realm Reborn and Heavensward, you can do most of that shit yourself when you're 80. So the game can be hard if you want it to be hard. If you want it to be easy, or just want to get through content, you want to get that mount, hey, the game lets you do it. And I think honestly that's not a bad thing. The game to be accessible. You want a lot of people to be playing the game. If there's like only hardcore people playing, the game's gonna be dead and no one's gonna hear about it. The reason why this game is so good is it's so appealing. There's so many different people. There's so many different things about it. I mean, that's just at the end of the day what has kept me playing the game. Heavensward took it to another level. Like, especially the story. The story was so good in Heavensward, especially compared to Realm Reborn. I mean, the patch quest shit. I mean, honestly, I think they have that patch quest just because it's like, you're like, this. When is it gonna stop? When is the pain gonna stop? And then you get to Heavensward after you do the Crystal Tower. Yes, you have to do the Crystal Tower Alliance raid. Do not worry, it's a joke. If you skip all the cutscenes, you can do it in an hour. The cutscenes literally add another hour, or more. I started skipping some. I skipped like one or two, but like it adds about an hour. Heavensward was so good. All the characters. I mean, what they did. I mean, spoilers. I'm just gonna go into spoilers right now. With the bloody banquet, Rabon getting his arm sliced off, getting thrown in prison, all the Scions basically being AWOL. It's just you, Alpino, and Tataru, and you go to Horshafa, and you're like, hey, can we go into your city that's closed? And he's like, yo, we got you. And, I felt it was really interesting. I liked the Ishgard a lot. I liked the story a lot. Between the dragons, I mean, like, dude, it was basically like Game of Thrones, honestly. It was like Game of Thrones, but the ending didn't suck. Again, it's spoilers. Horshafa dying. The closest I've ever come on video games ever made me come to crying was Final Fantasy X when Tidus died, and that's not a spoiler. That game's fucking 20 years old. Can we all agree? Spoilers have. I'll give it 10 years. I'll give it 10 years. 20? Yes, Tidus doesn't die in the end, but Yuna and Tidus going to hug each other and Tidus like disappears. I almost cried. A video game has never made me cry. Horshafa dying, honestly, I cared about that character so much. He was so cool. Him dying, I almost died right there at the table. The whole thing of Super Pope thinking he was better than the Ashians, and funnily enough, he kills a Lullabear, which I thought was fucking hilarious, and then I kill him. It was really interesting in my opinion, and Ishgard then turns into Britain basically with the House of Commons and House of Lords. I like that how the game like interweaves this like thing where it's like, hey, there's actual politics going on because this is an actual world and we're building it. So we have to establish a democracy because our old government fell down. It's like, that's actually cool. It's like actually building out a world and making it seem real. You see that especially later on in the game. I mean, with the other expansions and stuff like that. The patch quest for Heavensward 2 I thought was really interesting with the Warriors of Darkness. That was clearly setting up an expansion. I kind of also like how most of the expansions set up their other expansions. They're like foreshadowing things. But yeah, I'll talk about the end of that in the Stormblood video. that I'm gonna do later. But you know, just to wrap it up, I mean, honestly, I never thought I'd like an MMO as much as I like Final Fantasy, and you know, um, Destiny was the last MMO I liked, and I fell off because I just didn't enjoy it. The story just started to just suck for me. It was kind of just getting too grindy at the end of the day, and I just fell off. I haven't fallen off yet. You know, there's probably going to be months where I don't sub, but that's fine. I'll come back to the game because the story is so interesting. The story's so cool. The combat's interesting. The world's interesting. There's so much shit to do in the game. I mean, if you hop into this and you're new, you're going to have 10 years worth of content because the game's 10 years old. Yeah, so that's what I thought. Heavensward was definitely worth it. Like the Novice Network said, it is definitely worth it. The 100 quests that are between the end of A Realm Reborn and Heavensward are awful, like everyone says. They're just shit fetch quests. So you talk to this guy, hey, go do this dungeon, hey, go do this trial. Yes, it's bad. It gets better. Heavensward is worth it. Stormblood is worth it. And Shadowbringers is worth it because it just improved. It just took the game to the next level. Now, Aether Currents. I totally forgot about this, and I just remember them. I fucking hate them. That might be controversial to people. I think it's time gating. I think it's shitty time gating, and I think it was really weird for them to give you flight and then take it away. I don't mind them taking you not having flight in a zone when you get there, but I would have preferred if they give you flight when you finish the last mission in the zone. Like, and they clearly do that every single time where it's like, this is the last Aether Current, because some of them are tied behind missions, and that one is tied behind a main mission, and it's the last main mission in the zone. I'd rather them just done that because Aether Currents are fucking annoying to go after and chase. Stormblood, Shadowbringers, I think even Heavensward, they put them in weird places. That first map, the Falcons, where the Falcons Nest is super huge. I really wish they had flying because I literally added maybe hours because I was walking around that. Aether Currents suck. But at the end of the day, the game doesn't suck. And that's what I thought. And, you know, let me know what you guys think. You know, I stream this every Monday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, and twitch.tv/Joker. Leave a like, subscribe, it helps. And yeah, I'll be back in the next video talking about Stormblood because I have a lot to say about that. And this will be another 30-minute. This will be a 30-minute video if I put it all in. So yeah, and again, sorry about not posting videos on Sunday and Wednesday. I had some stuff come up. It happens. So yeah, take care and bye.